Hi, I'm Dave. Welcome to Dave Takes It On. You find us here today at Birch Services on the M62 eastbound. And the weather, well, it's British weather, of course. We're here today at the new Tesla supercharger, shortly to be opening. I have reported on this one before while they were doing the work, so this is getting very close now to opening up. But what we have here is a total of 12 V3 chargers. And some people may wonder, why are they installing V3 chargers here? And it's a very good question. And the answer is, these were installed many, many months ago, and they've been waiting for the power to be connected. So the power is still not switched on, but they are now much closer to the switch on. If this was a brand new installation, they'd be installing the V4s, because that's all they will install. Tesla will only install one charger at a time. So the V4s are now going everywhere, but these were installed many months ago. These are the V3 chargers. You can tell that by having a single cable, and it's a CCS2 plug on the end of it. So these are 250 kilowatts power to each of the chargers, and there's no shared power. So for a Tesla long-range Model 3, which has a maximum charging speed of 250 kilowatts, these will give them full power. Same for a Model S, the newer ones, Model S Plaid, Model Y long-range, that also will take full power. If you've got a base Model 3 or a base Model Y, then they only pull 175 kilowatts, so these will just be coasting. So when we're looking at the growth of these, this is 12 superchargers, and this is one of the things that sets Tesla aside from any other installation. GridServe have a habit of installing 6, apart from very, very busy services. InstaVolt have a habit of installing 2, 3 or 4. Apart from one of their hubs. Fastned, usually 4, 6 or 8 chargers. Tesla's unique in that they regard 12 as the absolute minimum that you should have. And very few new installations are going in which have less than 12. Many of them you're finding 12, 18, 24 chargers in one location. So Tesla's really gearing up for the future. Now, these are exclusive to Tesla at the moment. These will not be open to all cars, like non-Teslas. And the reason for that is that over the other side of the car park, there's some brand new GridServe chargers going in. These will be the 350 kilowatt chargers. So it will be exclusive Tesla this side, and it will be exclusive GridServe for everybody else on the other side. Now, we'll be going there later, but on the opposite side, the westbound carriageway, the GridServes are already installed and the Teslas are not yet connected. So there's a constant growth in the installation of chargers going on throughout the country. And everywhere we go, we just come across places where we never thought there was anything going on, because these are not advertised on the Tesla opening shortly ones. Don't know why. So we come across these sometimes by chance. Many a time we get comments from our viewers, and the viewers will tell us that they called in here and they saw that there was work going on. And we love that, we encourage that. So please, if you're out there and you see something happening, you see groundworks being prepared, you see chargers in but not yet working, please get in touch with us, leave a comment below. Better still, if you can do it safely, you have the time, please stop, take a few photographs, or if you're really brave, do a video for us. We will be using these videos. We will include these videos with full credit to whoever took the video or the photographs, and we'll be featuring these more and more in future videos. If enough people get in touch and we find out what's going on throughout the whole of the country, we'll be able to build up a database and show you what's happening live, so that and the sun's coming out. Sorry to interrupt corrupt, but the sun's just broken through. But if we get enough feedback from our viewers, what will happen is we'll get notification of all of the new installations going in. We'll know roughly when, and we can then take over, do our research, and try and find out a date when they'll be going live. But that would be a really valuable service for everyone. So we're not trying to set up in competition with ZapMap, anything like that. But if we can just set up a database of what's going in and where, that would be absolutely brilliant. So back to these. These will keep the Teslas busy. This is a very busy motorway, the M62. In fact, the traffic before, well, it's still stationary now. So we're not looking very good for getting home. So it's very busy. So we're on this Birch Services now. The next one up we're going to is Hartshead Moor. It's only about 20 or 30 mile up the road. And last time we were there were no Teslas there at all. They're still not showing up on the Tesla map as an installation, but we do know that there are grid serve there and they are connected and working. We believe is 12, so this is part of our route today. So the other day we were in Burton Wood, right at the other end of the M62, and we're heading eastward now towards Hartshead Moor. Right, we need to be very careful here. Now, it was only a few weeks ago that I was here and I met up with the crew who were installing here. And so it's fascinating to see they're not yet working, but there is progress. So we're going to walk down and we're going to see what they were doing. Now, the green structure is the substation. That's a new substation that they've installed, and that's connected into the main grid ring main, which is the 110,000 volt one. So this comes off at 11,000 volts, and then there's a transformer on the left that takes it down from 11,000 volts to 450 volts. And then from there, it comes across here into the cabinets, which are down at the bottom. And from there, they go underground through the cables. And we're going to look at the cables here, because these are quite fascinating. And what you can see here, you can see three little torpedo-like things, the grey ones. Now, what happens is, when they need to join a cable, this is going to be buried underground, and it also needs to be totally waterproof. So what they do, they have a metal connector with a bolt through it. We use a spanner on, and they push the bare cables in and then screw the terminals down, a bit like screwing a battery terminal onto a cable onto a car battery. So they screw it down, so they've now got the cable connected solidly. What they now do is get one of those plastic cases, they open up like a clamshell, and they put this inside, they close it up, they pinch it sealed all the way down, and then they inject into it squirty foam, like we use for DIY in the home. And this fills up, it totally expands inside the plastic case, comes out through various outlets, but what it does is it totally seals that connection from water and damage as well. So this is going to be filled in at a later date, and once it's filled in, they're good for life. They're going to be there for decades to come. So you can see there, we've got them coming through. These go back to substation. Cables go everywhere. And this is moving on nicely from when we were here just a few weeks ago. If we travel a little bit further down, what you can see here is the difference between the big thick cables that come in and the cables that go out. So there is a difference here. So you can see difference in colours. And if we swing round onto that side, you can see at the transformer, they have a different colour cable, and that indicates a very different voltage coming into it. So they're red cables. They are at the very much higher voltage, probably 11,000, I'm told. Now, the road we're standing on, we do get a bit of traffic, I'm afraid. Although this is a motorway service station and we came to it off the motorway, and we can go back onto the motorway as we travel on our journey, this one and many other new ones now have slip roads that will allow people from nearby towns and villages to come. So instead of having to get onto a motorway to get to the service station to charge your Tesla, for example, or your Hyundai, what you can do here, if you live in a nearby village, is just come down the slip road, go in and charge. Once you've charged, back up the slip road. You don't need to go anywhere near the motorway itself, so it's much quicker and safer. What that does is it just opens up this services to a new market, because if you're charging your car and you're going to be there for, well, these are V3 chargers, 250 kilowatt, so most people are going to be here 15, 20, 25 minutes, most Teslas. But they will almost certainly make use of the services while they're here, even though they live only just up the road. It's either that or sit in your car and play YouTube or video games or whatever it is you do on your screen. But it is just opening up these chargers to people who otherwise would have to travel on the motorway. And then, of course, once you come out of the services back onto the motorway, you'd have to go up to the next junction, turn around and come back down. So these slip roads are a really good idea, and we're seeing a lot more of them. Number of services we visited, we were in Lancaster earlier on, and those services, those slip roads, are actually banned. There's no entry signs, access only, engineers or whatever it is, so they don't allow you to use them. So the Lancaster services, you can only get to it from the motorway, and when you've finished there, you can only get back onto the motorway. These, you can join them from the nearby towns or villages, just nip in or out to charge accordingly. So this looks like there's going to be a little bit more work. We're having a look. The GridServe are right at the far end, and they will almost certainly use exactly the same substation, exactly the same transformer, and they will be taking power from somewhere around here and then feeding that right the way down under the whole site to get back down. And the GridServe ones are right near the motorway. So almost certainly coming from the same same substation, and that's feeding through. Now, it's interesting to note that the motorway services has its own substation. However, that one is pretty much at capacity. That comes off the National Grid ring main, but that one's pretty much at capacity, feeding things like the hotel, the services, the petrol pumps and everything. And so when they wanted to install any chargers here, it was a requirement they have to have their own substation. Now, up until recently, the cost of the substation and the work of the substation was done by the DNO. And the DNO would charge for that, and at a site like this, they could easily pay £500,000 or £1 million just to get permission and to get the power here into a substation, which they have to pay for, through a transformer, which they have to pay for, and into all the cabling, which they have to pay for. That gives two problems. The first problem is it's a lengthy process, because if the DNOs are a bit stretched, they just haven't got the time to do it. And the second thing is there's no urgency from them. That has now been transferred to the actual charging networks like Tesla, like GridServe. So in the future, that bit of it is going to be done by them. So they will do the cabling from the National Grid ring main to their own substation, and that will be make it very much quicker, very much cheaper as well. They don't rely on the DNOs. The DNOs are going to have to contribute towards it, because there's no reason why, if you build a new house and you get a power supply there, you should pay as a domestic customer for the upgrade of the substation if it's not up to it. So there's a change in the UK government law, and it's going to favour much quicker installations, much better connections, and a faster rollout of chargers. It's really interesting to see here the difference in the cables. So you've got some really big, thick cables coming in or going out, whichever is the case, and much thinner ones alongside. And that shows the difference in the power from either 11,000 to 415 or to the power going out to the chargers, which is 480 volts. So it's lovely seeing the different cables, and even down the bottom of the trench, you can see the thick ones and thin ones. Now those will feed from there into the switchgear. Now these cabinets, this is where all the work is done. So there's 12 superchargers just on the opposite side of this road, and they're all controlled from these three switchgear. So the chargers themselves are not actually chargers, they are mere dispensers of of electricity. So all they have in there is a bit of circuitry to make sure it's safe, and a cable and a CCS2 plug. All the switching on, switching off, monitoring and everything else is done through this end of it. The other thing you will notice if we swing round and have a look is there's a small green cabinet up there, and that green cabinet is the communications. So this site now will be on the internet, so they can now monitor the chargers, the dispensers, they can monitor the cars, they can take the payments. So that's all done from a small green cabinet up there alongside the substation. So unlike GridServe, which here would normally have one big cabinet, switching cabinet behind each charger or each dispenser, Tesla tend to group it all together, and they'll put a bigger charger here, but not 12 of them, and each of those will film 3 or 4 dispensers in the car park. So it's quite lively with the traffic and some comments as well. So anyway, that's it for now. We're moving on. Well, thanks very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please click the like button. And if you'd like to see more, please subscribe and click the notification bell so we can notify you next time we launch a video. And a massive thank you to all our Patreon supporters. It is your support that enables us to go out and make these videos for you. So thank you very much for your contribution. I'm Dave.